We all make mistakes in life. It's a phrase we all say to sympathize with one another when we make them. Though, not all of us act the same after we made those mistakes. The actions that occur after we make the mistakes define our character. I'm going to tell you a story of a person who made a mistake and is faced with the dilemma of whether to disclose that mistake or sweep it under the rug. In good old Cedar City Shakespeare Festival fashion, I'm titling this presentation, To Tell or Not to Tell. Jackson Daniels, a young, newly hired accountant at the Lynchburg Manufacturing Department, was asked to prepare a budget for the next year. In the conclusion of his analysis, he reported that the company would have an increase of 25% sales in a new product. It turns out that after he submitted the report, he reran the numbers and discovered an error in his calculations. He disclosed his mistake to a friend who discouraged him from saying anything to anyone. Still, sick to his stomach, and against his friend's advice, he decides to tell the president of production, Jimmy Beam, also known as Pete. Just as he expected, Pete was upset with the news. Though, what he didn't expect was what Pete told him next. Let's just keep this between you and me, he told him. Don't tell your boss, Jose Cuervo. Jose Cuervo was the controller of the company. Jackson agreed not to tell, but found himself still sick to his stomach. He is faced with a moral dilemma. Does Jackson tell the controller or keep quiet? The story presents many different reasons Jackson can rationalize his decision to keep quiet. His friend John Walker told him, since it's a demand number, those are hard to predict. Anyways, let's just wait to see what will happen. After all, you could end up being right. He also points out to him that Pete sets high expectations to make the numbers and has zero tolerance for mistakes. It's been common practice at this company to sweep mistakes under the rug. It's not like you will make this mistake again. It's just a one-time mistake. And in the end, no one knows it was you. If that isn't enough pressure to keep quiet, when disclosing this to Pete, he's given more rationalization. Pete tells him that both of them together could be let go for this mistake. He is then sworn to secrecy and asked to keep it just between them. At the same time, Jackson has a guilty feeling that he made a mistake and needs to tell his boss. He feels like he can't live with himself. Will the situation worsen as time goes by? When a lie is first told, it's hard to keep it hidden. Telling the truth early will help alleviate any worse cover-ups later. The company has a real issue with keeping things hidden. It looks like Pete is the promoter of this. Jackson now has first-hand evidence of Pete telling him to keep something quiet, and he needs to do something about this. He has a chance to show some integrity. As well, I can't help to think that those numbers should be reviewed by Jackson's boss before being delivered to anyone since he was new. The onus doesn't fall entirely on him. If he has an honest boss, that should be brought up as well. So why tell? You never know what the consequences will be, and you should always be honest. People who are honest generally find more mercy than those who are not. Going forward, I think that first things first, he needs to tell Jose Cuervo that he made a mistake, and he could get some help from HR. I think he needs to hear what Jose has to say about it, and they should brainstorm solutions. Some of the main arguments that he'll have to address is Jackson will have to explain to Cuervo the mistake and the battle he faced in deciding to tell him. I think there was some real struggle there. Jackson could explain his loyalty to the success of the company, and that'll help have Jose Cuervo on his side. Jackson will also have to explain what Pete told him to do and not to do. And I think what's at stake here depends on whether you look at the glass half full or half empty. Jackson could be terminated. Pete could be terminated. The new hires who were hired on could be let go. Or Jackson could be praised for his honesty. He could learn that the new hires were hired because of other projections as well. And he could learn that Jose Cuervo will take some of the onus. He never knows until he has that conversation. In the end, hiding the mistake is wrong, and he needs to let Jose, his boss, know.